Welcome to Wisconsin, cheese country, the home of the Green Bay Packers, and of course, America's national park of speed, Road America. My name is Rob Howden, folks, getting ready to start the second half of the 2025 season for the USF Pro Championships, presented by Continental Tire, and we'll do it here with a very busy weekend. 3 races for USF Pro 2000, 2 for the drivers in USF 2000, and after testing on Thursday and, of course, practice earlier today, it's time to get into qualifying. USF Pro 2000 will kick things off, USF 2000 afterwards. And again, this qualifying session for the pro drivers will set the grid for race number 1. They'll qualify a second time later on this afternoon for race number 2 and race number 3. It is going to be a warm weekend as well. Temperatures in the 90s on Saturdays and Sunday, maybe even as high as 100 with the heat index. It's going to challenge these drivers, of course, on one of the best racetracks in the country. Over 4 miles of asphalt here in the Kettle Moraine, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. But it's all about qualifying right now. You can race like crazy, but everybody wants to start up front. It is time to go racing. It's time to start the broadcast schedule here for the Road America weekend. Qualifying for USF Pro 2000 up next. America, it is time to get real here for the Elite Engines Grand Prix of Road America. My name is Rob Haddon. We'll be joined through the broadcast here on YouTube with the voice of Road America, Eric Miller. We'll bring him in here momentarily. Again, drivers rolled things through yesterday, a full test day, tons of track time, 2 45-minute sessions for both USF 2000 and USF Pro 2000, the top level of our 3-tier ladder system with the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. Now it's time to get real. It's 3 races for USF Pro 2000 this weekend, meaning that they are going to have 2 individual qualifying sessions. Qualifying 1 rolling out here right now for that session, a 30-minute window, 20 minutes of green flag. If we're able to get that green to checker, then we'll follow right up with USF 2000. So if you're on the broadcast right now on YouTube or watching on the USF Pro Championships app, don't go anywhere. Back-to-back shows here as part of this stream. Again, we'll bring Eric in. He knows this racetrack very well. He's announced here for many years, many events. Eric, this is the track that you and I get to work with every year. Love coming to see you here at Road America. A fantastic field of 18 drivers in USF Pro 2000. And this is a racetrack where, number 1, these engines get to stretch their legs, 3 really long straightaways. Braking is big in terms of overtaking as well.
And that's really what these cars are built for in USF Pro 2000. Big brakes, big wings, big horsepower. And for these younger drivers, of course, trying to put all of those pieces together, there's not a lot of tight, twisting corners here at Road America, but you still have a backside of this race course where you've got to get the car to be very nimble and be able to move around a little bit, especially in those passing zones like going up the hill to turn 6, coming down the hill to turn 8 out of hurry downs, and even on the exit of the carousel, trying to go the long way around sometimes on your way to the kink, and the kink is anyone's guess.
Exactly that. The big thing here, obviously, is as well, not the balance of the car. How you're going to have the wing angle. Have you trimmed out for top speed? Have you had some wing angle in to have more grip and more corner speed? Again, the other thing about qualifying is finding the right driver on the racetrack, because the toe is huge here, as we know. A 20-minute session, 4 sets of tires for 2 qualifying sessions and 3 races. You're going to have to run at least a couple of races with used tires. So drivers onto the racetrack right now, just getting things underway. A 20-minute session, it takes a number of minutes, 3.5 minutes just to get around for the first lap as they get some heat built into these Continental tires. But the draft is going to be key. You want to be lined up with the driver, maybe who's a little bit faster than you, because you need to work together. The toe's so huge, from 14 to 1, from 3 to 5, out of the carousel, through the kink, all the way down to Canada Corner. For those of you here, our trackside, and may have watched that last session we had for USF 2000, a massive wreck down, one single car incident down in the kettle bottoms, out of the kink. JT Hoskins for J. Howard Driver Development, losing it, dropping a wheel into the grass on the exit of the corner, spun back around to driver's right, made hard contact with the concrete wall there, came back over, did a couple of barrel rolls, and got into the wall on the far side as well. AMR IndyCar safety team, of course, on the scene very quickly. They took their time extricating him because he did complain of some back pain. You know that as soon as you start talking about back pain, you're going on the backboard. straight to Aurora, to the hospital, to the ER, just to make sure he's going to be okay. He was talking, he was alert. Now, of course, we're waiting word that he's okay. But a hard lick there for JT Hoskins. Eric, a regular driver, rookie in our USF Juniors program, was coming up here to test the waters in USF 2000, coming off a fantastic test just less than a week ago. So we're praying for him, making sure he's okay. Looking forward to see JT hopefully get back on the racetrack here in 2025.
Absolutely. 16 minutes, already 4 minutes gone by in this 20-minute session, Rob. So, I mean, and we still haven't seen any lap times yet. So obviously the alternate timeline down at turn 14 going to be kind of the place to really start your lap. So right as these cars on the exit of 13 are on the go button coming out of 14. So your initial laps coming around here, first laps, really going to be tires coming up to temperature. We've seen these Continental tires take about 2 to 3 laps really to build up temperature. Now, you mentioned that we only get 4 sets of tires here for this weekend. Are we going to see this qualifying session, you kind of go max out, you get your lap, do you come in, change tires, and scuff a second set?
That's the key. You just scuff a set right now, come in. We haven't seen anybody come in yet. You do one lap around to get a banker lap at speed and then come in and change the tires. The problem is this track is so long. We're talking about lap times over 2 minutes. It's not a 120, not a 125 lap. This is over 2 minutes here. The track record just under that mark. David Malukas back in 2018, a 159.815 track record for the drivers here in this USF Pro 2000 category. So I didn't get enough time to kind of talk to people about strategy. Unlike they would tell me anyways, they're going to keep it close to the vest. Nobody's going to tell me exactly how they're going to play this.
Rob.
Well, I try. But again, close to the vest is played the strategy for most of these teams. So, indeed, we're going to find out very soon. Does anybody come into pit lane, or with the fact that we're running 2-minute laps, is it really just about getting that, those 4, 5, 6 laps in the books? That's all you're really going to be able to get with a 2.5-minute out lap. And then, of course, if you're just lucky to get through, as we have a driver's gone off, that is, I believe, a spin there for Jacob Douglas.
That's in 10, and that's on the exit of the carousel, right underneath the Mission Foods Bridge.
Indeed.
And it looks like threw up a little bit of dirt up onto the racetrack. So as the cars are coming through, you'll see a little bit of the air pulling the dirt right out of the racetrack and back up into the air on the exit of the carousel underneath the Mission Foods Bridge. But, looking at where the timing line is in 14, you want to be tucked up fairly close on these long straightaways, but you will see a lot of these drivers kind of choose to put maybe a half a wing or a full wing with outside following, especially on the exit of 14, just to get enough grip as you see cars peeling off the pit lane to the left of your screen here. But that exit of 14, sometimes you need that grip to get a good exit straight off where you're going to be tucked right up underneath the gearbox for the toe. And
you can give a little bit up in 14, knowing that you're going to have the draft all the way up the straightaway. So if you have enough enough room, you're going to be able to tuck back in. A couple of drivers coming into pit lane here right now. Number 3 of Joseph Loke is in. And I'm surprised. We got a number of drivers coming in. So very likely what Eric had alluded to, get out there, put a couple of laps in, maybe a banker lap. Garcia now P1 with a 201.824. I believe he's still on the racetrack, but Max Taylor, Joseph Loke, Joey Brienza, who was a podium finisher last year in USF 2000 here, Matt Clark in as well, so the exclusive Autosport crew has a couple of their drivers in here. Get those couple of laps, put a banker in, and then, again, they scuff the tires. Those are probably going to become race tires. Maybe race 2, race 3 kind of a thing, race tires. Ideally, they're going to hold one set of fresh tires for one of the races. You're going to play the strategy of when you're going to hold on to those tires. But indeed, a number of drivers we expect to be in the top 10 already into pit lane. But as it stands here early, it is Max Garcia P1, your point leader, last year's USF 2000 champion, leading the way. Max Taylor, USF Juniors champion last year and multi-time winner in USF 2000 as well. He did double duty last year in both series. Turn 3 Motorsports, Alessandro DiTullio and Joseph Loke currently sitting 3rd and 4th with a couple laps down here. Joseph Loke coming and joining us here in that number 3 machine, taking the seat vacated this weekend by Texan Brady Golan, who was at another event here this weekend, not able to make it to Road America. So Joseph Loke, who was the BRDC award winner, a very talented English driver coming over here, was very fast at the Fall Combine in Indianapolis last October. Great to have Joseph here, and I think he's going to be pretty impressive, potentially running for a podium spot. But otherwise, drivers continue to circulate around. Those 4 or 5 drivers into the pits are making adjustments, as we know. Looks like Michael Costello into pit lane as well. A lot of drivers peeling off, so there's the answer to your question. Is there going to be changes here? Indeed there are. Into maybe 7 to 8 to 9 minutes into the session, Eric, a lot of drivers coming to pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. But the interesting thing to note is 4 out of the top 5 right now all have that rookie designation next to their names here in USF Pro 2000. But Garcia, Douglas, Taylor, and Costello and DeTulio, right now, that is your top 5 in this qualifying session, which sets up, obviously working progressively towards maybe making some changes. Are these tires, going to be come on? Are you just making a little bit of a change, or are you definitely using these for scuffs?
No,
everybody's changing tires right now.
You're not coming in just to make changes. You're 100% out there putting on fresh rubber. If you're going to come in, you're going to do that. The scuff program is exactly what they're doing here. Scuff those tires, get a couple laps in. But let me circle back around and get back to what you're talking about. All 4 of the rookies up front, all USF 2000 race winners. We didn't have Jacob Douglas in the program last year, but he's a former race winner from 2023. Garcia, Douglas, Taylor, and Costello have all won races in USF 2000. Alessandro DeTulio in the 5th spot, a top kart racer over the last number of years here in North America. Top ranked, top 3, top 5 ranked kart racer by my website, ekartingnews.com. But he jumped in last year to a shortened program, partial schedule last year at the end of the year with BN Racing, all setting up for a full-time effort here in 2025. And Eric, he came out of the gate strongly, 3 wins in the first 4 races. But it was kind of feast or famine for DeTulio. He was either winning races around the podium or he was DNFing. That's why he's back currently in the 3rd spot in the points. He's 7 points behind Ariel Elkin, but he is a lot further back right now. He's 48 points back of Max Garcia, who's had a great start to the season. Remember, first half of the season done. We're now into the final 4 events. Road America, as we've talked about, and every time we're here, Eric, we get to talk about the fact the run begins now. The run to the championship. You've done the first 4 races. This is where you can change your championship around, like Lockie Hughes did last year, sweeping all 3 main events in USF Pro 2000. He rode the wave to the championship in Portland.
And part of that for Lockie Hughes last year, with that sweep of the Road America weekend, his competitors in the points race had some trouble. Not necessarily DNFs, but cars with a little bit of damage, some pit stops, getting cycled out. Yellows were falling at just the wrong time. And some competitors got caught out through that whole weekend last year. And that's where Lockie really was able to make up some ground and add to that point total throughout that entire weekend.
Up top right now, Max Garcia, 201.470. That is your provisional pole time. 4 laps into the books. Jacob Douglas, 2nd. Taylor, Costello, and DeTulio. 6th rather is Joseph Lote. 7th is Joey Brienza. 8th, Frankie Mossman. 9th, Matt Clark. And 10th, Jorge Garcia Arce. That's your top 10. Nicholas Montiero, 11th. This is at past the halfway point, just a little over 8 minutes remaining. You know they're going to put those fast laps down at the very end once they get some heat built in. The 2nd set of Continentals are bolting on. Carson Etter sits 12th. Cooper Becklin 13th, coming off a strong run in Indianapolis. Sebastian Manson in 14th. Tyke Durst, Charles Finelli. 16 drivers on the track. We have not yet seen Ariel Elkin or Logan Adams. Adams was involved in the hard incident in turn 5 in his practice session this morning. We have not seen him get back on the racetrack, so maybe still working on the car for Logan Adams. Ariel Elkin, who has been the hottest driver on the circuit in the month of May. 3 wins in 4 races, won 2 of the 3 of the triple header on the road course at Indianapolis, then came away with the Freedom 90 victory at IRP at the Carb Night Classic. He's the driver on the move now, up into 2nd place in points, but he's not yet put a lap in. We'll keep an eye out for Ariel Elkin to see whether or not he's able to get things going. I think, Logan Adams is active. I see that on live timing. Still, Ariel Elkin potentially not out onto the racetrack.
And one of those things are, if you wait too late in the session, you can get caught out. With an errant red with the final minute and a half.
Let's have a look to see whether there's got a couple of the turn 3 cars coming out of pit lane. You can see them coming with the stickers rolling on those Continentals. Again, this is a lot of the stuff you learn when you're coming up through the ranks. So many of these drivers started in junior, like a Max Taylor, through USF 2000 into pro, and that's learning coming out of karting what it's like to roll out there with fresh tires. Yeah, you do it in a go-kart as well. You're on sticker tires. but you're not talking about the speeds and the cornering that these cars have. How you handle the car on cold tires, how you bring the tires up to temperature. You see a driver weaving down into turn number 5 here, trying to build the heat in those tires. You don't want to overcook it, Eric. We know you make you ask too much on the throttle of cold tires, you go around. That's definitely something they're going to learn here throughout the year running in USF Pro 2000. Really how to extricate all the grip you can of these tires, even when they're cold.
You know, and the other aspect of that is if you do end up looping around, you got to release the brake pretty quick. You don't want to flat spot those tires spinning around either.
That's it. That was one of the things we saw Jacob Douglas have, that little spin. Luckily for him, it was kind of more of an off-track spin as opposed to on the pavement itself, where you would flat spot those tires. And that's something you can't afford to do here. You don't want to lock the brakes up in a qualifying session. You don't want to ruin a set of tires you could potentially use in one of the 3 races throughout the weekend. They'll run 2 tomorrow, USF Pro 2000. And they're back on track first thing on Sunday morning to start off the action here at Road America. So again, lots of racing, crucial event for the drivers here in USF Pro. These drivers, Eric, as we've talked about, are just 2 steps away from the NTT IndyCar Series. From here, straight to Indy next, trying to follow in the footsteps of 5 drivers, champions, who have already come from USF Pro into IndyCar. And of course, the other 2 drivers, stars right now, Miles Rowe and Lachlan Hughes in Indy next. 5 minutes to go. Max Garcia on top still, the 201.470, and pretty impressive as well, as he is 0.3 of a second quicker than Max Taylor. Garcia on top, Taylor second. Matt Clark has worked his way up into the 3rd spot. 3 different teams in the top 3: Pabst Racing, VRD Racing, and Exclusive Autosport. Garcia, your leader, with 231 points in the championship standings. Elkin back by 41 with 190. DeTulio another 7 points back with 183. Another 9 points back from Matt Clark in 4th, and then Jacob Douglas is about 28 points or 27 points behind Matt Clark. So again, the reason why, Eric, we look at this with 4.5 minutes to go being such a crucial weekend is we have one driver slowing, trying to get
looks like making a gap there.
Yeah, indeed, trying to gap up, coming through 6, did not get in the way of the driver coming through turn number 6. But by the time we get through 4 sessions, or 4 races, everybody's not in the championship. You've started to whittle away guys, right? It's usually down to anywhere between 5 and 6 drivers with still a mathematical chance of winning it. So that's where we kind of pinpointing the drivers who are going to be in the championship fight through to the end.
And you're going to see consistency of those drivers that are finishing those top 5s are critical. They may not necessarily be on the podium, but being in that top 5 regularly and more consistently is really going to be able to build that points base in those first 4 or 5 rounds before you get into the second half of the season. And this is why Road America always seems to be that turning point, because now is when the pressure gets put on. Halfway through, now you start ratcheting up the pressure.
That's it.
And now you start to see who's really got the metal to stick it out, and those who fall under that mental pressure.
And remember, I always say, you're not really a rookie by the time you get to Road America. Maybe you were a rookie to start the season, but you've already run the street circuit at Toronto. You've run the all-terrain road courses at where? NOLA, Indianapolis. You've been on the oval already. You've done all 3 disciplines that you'll do when you get to IndyCar. So by this point, you've kind of pulled the rookie stripe off to a certain extent. So all the rookies come to the forefront. I think back to David Malukas in the USF Pro 2000 category when they came out. This was his breakout weekend, being able to come through with victories over Toby Sowery here for BN Racing back when he was running in this series. 2.5 minutes, 2 3/4 minutes still to go. Let's have a look. Garcia, Taylor, Douglas up into 3rd, DeTulio to 4th, Clark 5th, Costello 6th, Lope 7th, Mossman now up into 8th spot. He was a podium finisher last year with Jay Howard Driver Development. He's running for VRD Racing this weekend alongside Max Taylor. The number 27, Ariel Elkin, into pit lane. So only a couple laps for Ariel, 17th, and there's no way he's going to get back out, I don't think, and get another lap in to get the heat up to the temp. So the driver's 2nd place in points coming in. A hit, smack in the face to start the weekend. Very likely starting on the final row. Logan Adams, I thought, was active, has not yet posted a time. So it looks like row number 9 will very likely be Logan Adams alongside Ariel Elkin, 2 drivers who we expect to potentially work their way up into the top 10. 2 minutes remaining in the session. Time to get things rolling here. Drivers are going to start spooling it up. Who are you teamed with? What kind of a draft do you have? Who's the rabbit? Garcia still on top. Douglas, Taylor, Mossman now up to 4th. Eric, it's time to go. The Continental tires coming up into that operating window, getting that pressure where you need to be. What do we always say? all the things that come into qualifying. Tire pressure's got to be right? Temperature's got to be correct. The driver's got to be around the right person, either getting that pole or open racetrack. Here you want the draft. Fuel levels starting to go down. Did they fuel it correctly so you're almost empty? You got the lightest car you can with no fuel. Then we put it in the hands of the driver. You got to hit all the marks around a really tough 14 corner circuit.
And you talked about Ariel Elkin in that 17th spot right now, going to start on the last row with Logan Adams, as it were, right now. We've seen drivers come from 10th, 11th, 12th to get to the podium. Maybe not necessarily a win, but from the podium. It's really hard from that deep in the field here.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about qualifying up front, a little less important here because of the tow and the passing opportunities that you have here at Road America, but still outside that top 12, it's really a long road to hoe. That's going to be difficult to just get to the podium sometime.
Well, and the tough thing is, okay, if I start at the back, I'll get 5, 6, 7, maybe I'll get a yellow. But the problem here with the yellow is it's such a long lap that all of a sudden you lose so much time. We're going to run long races, but there's only that time window we have to watch for as well. So final couple of seconds, everybody coming down into turn number 1, like Joey Brienza, who just rolled through turn number 1. This will be the final lap. They are going to see the checkered flag at the alternate timing line coming out of 13 before they get to 14. That way they can pull right into pit lane. It is time to go to work. Final lap here. Garcia, Taylor, Douglas, Clark, and Mossman. They're fast 5. USF Pro 2000 qualifying 1. This is only for race number 1. We have the other qualifying session this afternoon at 1:35. That'll be for race 2 and provisionally race number 3. This is all about race number 1. Garcia on top with a 2:01.123. He is less than 2/10 ahead of Taylor. Checkered flag flying at the alternate timeline, so this will be the final lap. Anybody on the racetrack now gets one more circuit as they give you a good shot here of the carousel. Garcia, Taylor, Douglas, Clark, and Mossman being pull a driver potentially off track at the carousel. Otherwise, I don't see the yellows flying at this point. Yeah, drivers sort of look like they're slow coming through the corner there. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, indeed, we got the AMR IndyCar safety team rolling from just outside of turn number 8. So a driver has gone off. All these drivers potentially on a flyer. Where we got it, Eric, that is that coming into the kink?
That's it. That's out of 10. That is actually
just out of turn number 10. Yeah.
Just basically center carousel just before the Mission Foods Bridge. That's a hard place to go off. It's really easy to do if you're stuck on the outside, someone, and now the red flag coming out.
Hold on. Here's what I'm going to hear when I get back into the paddock from everybody on the grid. Oh, man, I was on a flyer.
Right.
Everybody was trying to get that final lap in. Max Garcia is going to come away with it. And to be truth, they were all on that flyer, that last lap run. The car was as light as possible. All those drivers on the flyer and that red flag coming out, whoever it was that's involved, that's going to hurt because they're going to lose at least one of their fastest lap times. Here's a shot here. Drivers, somebody got way woed up coming through. That was one of the D-Force drivers. Not quite sure which one of the D-Force drivers was. That was George Garcia Arce. Actually, he's the only D-Force driver here this weekend, so that was Garcia Arce. That looked like he was coming through the corner, Eric, and may have got off the throttle a little bit, seeing that Matt Clark was in front of him on the outside of the track. Yeah, there's Garcia Arce, who went off, and he remains in the car. Front
wing knocked off, so he made at least a little bit of contact with the barrier there.
So when you're coming in that corner, kind of an off camber, full throttle, you're really relying on your left side tires. The minute you get off the throttle, all of a sudden the car starts to push forward a bit, and you lose some of that rear weight. The minute you change the balance of a car when you're at full grip like that, you're going to upset the apple cart, and that's exactly what we saw there for George Garcia Arce. He was 11th, but very likely will lose at least one of his fastest laps, bringing out the red flag. And tough for so many of these drivers who are very likely on flyers. Here is your unofficial results, though, and look how close it is up front, just over 1/10 of a second. Max Garcia, your point leader, going P1 again. He'll take that bonus point all day long. Max Taylor, who was a USF Juniors champion last year, rolling in here, currently sitting 6th place in points. He'll be an outside front row starter for race number 1 tomorrow. Jacob Douglas and Matt Clark will be on row number 2. Frankie Mossman alongside Alessandro De Tullio on row 3. Michael Costello and Joseph Loke, row 4. Joey Brienza alongside Nicholas Montiero capping off your top 10. That's row 5. There's George Garcia Arce. He's 100% going to lose at least his fastest lap. As it stands, he would be 11th alongside Carson Eder. Sebastian Manson and Cooper Becklund 13th and 14th, and the rest of the field, Tyke Durst, Charles Finelli, and second place point man Ariel Elkin back there in the 17th spot. As you see, at 209.2, never able to get a fast lap in. Some kind of a mechanical problem for Ariel Elkin. He'll start on the very tail of the field, 17th, alongside Logan Adams. So there you have it, folks. Qualifying done for USF Pro 2000. A big one there for Max Garcia, the Pabst Racing driver, who is the point leader coming in, looking to have a big weekend here, trying to follow in the footsteps of Lockie Hughes, who dominated Road America last year on the way to the championship, and of course the scholarship to move to Indy next this year. Garcia, Taylor, Douglas, Clark, and Mossman, the Fast Five. If you're on the stream right now watching on YouTube, don't go anywhere. This stream will continue. We got some videos for you. We're going to be back at 2:05, about 20 minutes from now. USF 2000 will hit the racetrack for their single qualifying session of the weekend.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
The USF Pro Championships is really the development level for drivers coming out of karting to move their way to the NTT IndyCar Series. The whole concept is we teach them everything they need to know all the way up the ranks.
The USF Pro Championships, it's North American Open Wheel Racing's version of college sports. Got 3 tiers to it, which is pretty important. This whole thing is geared to go upwards and really define who the next stars happen to be.
There's so many drivers that come into the sport and maybe don't have the financial resources to make it all the way to the big time, right? All the way to IndyCar. The scholarship program provides a monetary award that goes to a driver winning the championship that allows them to move up to the next level. So if you win a championship, you win the money you need to go racing in the next level.
A number of drivers in IndyCar today have used the ladder system to gain experience and to gain funding via the scholarships to pay for the next level.
The USF Pro Championship helped me get to this spot in my career because of the many opportunities that it creates.
It was massive for me. The scholarships that are implemented are crucial for drivers. That was my lifeline all the way to IndyCar, and it's a big reason why I made it.
It's very unique, you know. We have the opportunity to win our way to IndyCar, basically, and some guys have done that.
The USF Pro Championships really helped me to get where I am today. You get so much racing on IndyCar tracks. You get ovals too, which for a European guy, that's something that's very useful.
This series is a smooth way of adding new developments into my career and new aspects of it. It's a smooth way of learning how to grow as a driver.
It has a great reputation. The competition level is amazing. It just gives drivers a great opportunity to advance.
The field here is really, really intense. I mean, people are down to the hundreds of thousands of seconds.
It's a great development series, and I think it's somewhere that you should be if you want to be going to IndyCar.
You know, one of the key factors in the USF Pro Championship that we always focus on is the level of safety. You know, back in 2022, we introduced the Halo to the car, which has increased the level of safety dramatically. And again, we're one of the only series that runs that in the junior level. And that's the key for us, is to make sure we take care of our drivers. Number one, on the racetrack. Number two, with the Halo. But number three, of course, with the AMR IndyCar safety team as well. Just like IndyCar has a dedicated crew of people that when there's an incident, they're the ones that arrive on scene the first time. They're with us as well. They know our race cars, they know our drivers. So when they get there, in the event there is an incident, we make sure they're completely taken care of.
So for the safety in our series, we follow IndyCar pretty much on all the safety standards as far as drivers' helmets, harness devices, suit requirements. We follow the IndyCar, and the reason for that, because we want to be the best out there. We want to be the safest. We want a mom and a dad to know their son, their daughter is in the car and they're absolutely the safest they can be.
They always think of safety first, and now every car has Halo, so if there's any flying debris or if you flip, you're gonna, 100% that you're gonna be safe. I had a big crash, Freedom 100, 2019 back in Indy Next, and before my car even stopped rolling, I already had an AMR safety guy in the car saying, "Hey, are you okay?"
Well, having started out as a racing dad, I know full well the concerns of a parent to make sure that we protect their kid. And we are very safety conscious in the USF Pro Championships.
When racers come to run with the USF Pro Championships, they're trying to become professional drivers, as we know, and they're trying to get exposure for what they've done, right? Not only do we teach them in terms of the media side, but they're really hoping for exposure through what we do. All of our races, of course, live on the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel. We have a downloadable app as well that fans can watch all of the races, the documentary, the climb that we put out, all the live timing, all on the app. So the exposure is there that they're able to leverage. If they have a sponsor or a prospective partner, an investor who's not here trackside, they're able to watch all the racing throughout the year. It's all about giving these kids as much exposure as possible, and there's not another junior formula program in North America that has the kind of exposure at the level that we have here in the USF Pro Championships.
We're rubbing elbows. We're on the same race weekends as IndyCar. And so it helps for those young drivers to look up and see those guys running at the top level like I am now.
Being in the presence of the organization that is IndyCar, you're obviously not racing in the series, but you're racing with it.
We create our schedule to be as much as possible on IndyCar weekends. The IndyCar series is always looking for young talent. They've moved a lot of our kids into the upper levels, and we need to race in front of them.
The IndyCar team owners do pay attention to what's going on the ladder, and that's important for the drivers. But it's a good way to get and learn exactly what goes into a race weekend.
They really made sure to show the importance of social media and posting, and to get well at talking in front of crowds and talking in front of big places.
It's extremely international now, which hasn't always been the case. You're racing against guys that will be future IndyCar race winners, race champions, and so it's a very unique opportunity.
The reason to come and check out the USF Pro Championships is simply because we teach everything you need to work your way to the top. Again, it's not just about racing, it's about everything that you have to learn to be a race car driver, but also the development we have from car to car, level to level, gives the driver a little bit more every year. It's a really graduated step for up the sport, as opposed to diving into something super fast. This teaches you from a really good place coming out of karting into one of the school series like the Skip Barber Racing School, and then into our USF Juniors program. It's such a planned effort. Everything is set correctly so that on the way up you learn incrementally what you need to get to IndyCar.
On our level, our job is to prepare them mentally, emotionally, media conscious, all that stuff. We have training seminars. We have the race directors who will, especially on the juniors level, will work with the kids and try and explain to them what's going on the racetrack, what they did right, what they did wrong. This is a learning series. They need to learn from their mistakes so that when we deliver them to IndyCar, they're the real deal. They're the finished product.
It's really important as they move up the USF Pro Championships ladder to continue to build on their brand as they get to IndyCar. It's a good way for the drivers to learn what they're going to have to deal with as they get to the big leagues.
It gives them a great training ground from the bottom to the top, how to communicate with your team, how to act, how to be as a person, all the things that are needed to become a professional driver.
You really can work hand in hand with your mechanics to tell them exactly what you need. I've learned a lot in this series of what it takes to be a driver and relay that to the mechanics as far as driving, how the car feels, and I think this series just does a great job with putting the drivers with the right teams and the crew to make that happen.
USF Pro Championships, it does a really good job of educating us on what tracks we're going to be running when we get to the professional leagues. Same thing in Formula One. You run the certain tracks that you're going to race in Formula One, and they do a really good job with that here. There's other series that could lead you on the path to IndyCar, but they don't race on the same tracks as IndyCar does. So USF Pro Championships gives you a little bit of a leg up as a young driver to already know the tracks, so that when you become a rookie in IndyCar, you have a little bit more of an even, playing field with the other pros that you're racing against.
With 3 levels in the USF Pro Championships, we have USF Juniors, USF2000, USF Pro 2000. One of the key components of the technical side of our sport is the fact that all 3 levels have the same basic chassis in itself. The USF Juniors, USF2000, very similar race cars with the same engine as well. Larger engine, more horsepower for the drivers in USF Pro 2000. But what we always say is that we want our drivers to get a little bit more of everything as they work their way up the ranks.
We hooked up with Italian race car designer Tatis Race Cars. They are the biggest in the world in junior formula cars, and they've built us an incredible car to our specs. We started with what is a typical Formula 4 chassis, but we strengthened it with a double bulkhead to protect drivers' feet, side intrusion panels. The core of the series is the Tatis race car. The tub is the same on all 3 levels, and a lot of the pieces transfer over from one level to another. So you increase the horsepower on every level, lap times get quicker on every level, but it's all basically the same cockpit and the same controls, same data system, and the drivers can learn as they gradually increase horsepower and go faster.
So the Juniors and the US2000 are basically the same car, same engine, same gearbox. Where it comes into is the engine is detuned. It has a different restrictor on, which is different horsepower. It has different wheels, different dampers, different uprights, different brakes. From there to the pro level, it's different body work, it's different wings on the car, it's a totally different engine. The first 2 levels, they integrate with each other very good. Going to the next one, the same. Still the same. Tub, suspension, uprights are the same on a pro car, and brakes as a 2000. It just gets into being a little bit more. It's got a bigger gearbox on it, bigger wheels, bigger tires, more horsepower.
So every step we have specifically designed to make sure you're ready to go that next year when you move up a level. Well, welcome back to Road America, our second qualifying session of the weekend, about set to roll here. Great run for Max Garcia in USF Pro 2000, the point leader putting it on the pole for race number one. Of course, back this afternoon at 1:35 for another qualifying session to set the grid for race 2 and 3. As you can see, that cloudy day, the rain we had earlier today is gone. Blue skies and cloud once again as the temperature starting to rise, 74 degrees trackside. We're expecting it to be about 20 degrees warmer on Saturday and Sunday, so the conditions today here not indicative of what we're going to see over a much warmer weekend here at America's National Park of Speed. But excited to get things underway. Shout out to those of you who are tuned into the YouTube channel of the USF Pro Championships or are potentially watching on the downloadable USF Pro Championship app. Do that from your favorite platform, and you can follow all the action from wherever you are. My name's Rob Howden, again, excited to be here at Road America alongside my friend, the voice of the facility, Eric Miller. Eric, always great to be here. An interesting qualifying session for USF Pro. We got to look at how they were going to handle the 20 minutes. 8 minutes, get some laps in, likely into the pits. We're probably going to see the same thing here.
I would certainly think so. There's a lot of cars with stickers going out right now. Track temperature, though, is going to be much higher here, so we may see those scuffs come in. Maybe instead of 8 minutes, maybe we see a lap earlier, maybe just a lap or two and come in rather than 3 or 4 and come in, just because these temperatures are going to go up. Heat cycle is going to be a little bit different for this session, and we're only realistically 30 minutes away from that time difference. But that sun makes a big difference on this asphalt.
Well, I'll give you, just to clarify, you have to be on sticker tires to start the session. So those scuff tires that you had from yesterday in this morning warm-up, those are done. You got to put those away. So fresh tires for everybody here, but you're right. How long do they stay on these fresh tires? How much scuff do they want to do? Because we expect the tires that they'll use here for the first couple of laps, you're going to very likely use as one of your race sets. And once you scuff a set of tires in, you'll give it what's called a heat cycle. So when you're back on that tire again, if the compound's hardened up a little bit, it's going to give you a longer run early, as opposed to even a hardcore used tire. Just a couple of laps on a tire, when you get back on it, it's going to provide grip a lot earlier than it would be for a fresh tire that could take a couple of laps. And again, one of the things about this track, 4.014 miles in length around. The first lap, your warm-up lap, is a long one before you get to the alternate timing line, which is coming here out of the Canada corner, up through Billy Mitchell Bend, and then through turn number 14. So they're not even on the clock yet as they come back around here. Then it's another, again, we looked at about almost 2.5 minutes from the clock starting for the first time you actually get to the timing line, which is in the entry of this corner, turn number 14. So, Eric, they got to go all the way back around just to get the first lap in the books, and by then you've traveled 8 miles. The tires are already going to be really close to temperature, especially with the temps coming up. The coolness and the moisture we had earlier today is essentially gone. Now it's time to get to work.
And, we had those 2 test sessions yesterday, the practice session earlier this morning. Try to find that thin line between good, manageable, and not good. And right now, you want to have it in that really good mindset coming into this qualifying session. But obviously, you've got to have at least some longevity with your setup here. It's a delicate balance with these long Road America straightaways and very high-speed, carry a lot of speed corners.
Yeah, indeed that. 100%. You're carrying a lot of speed through these corners. The carousel, of course, you're rolling through there. The kink, as we know, that's where we had the incident with JT Hoskins. I had a chance to actually chat a bit with JT's father, John. He's at Aurora Hospital. Things are good. Moving the hands, moving the arms, which is fantastic. He's alert. Obviously, a little bit of shock. Not surprising, man. It was a hard hit. Very likely a concussion. That was a hardcore wreck, but the bottom line is this Tatis chassis. We have seen a number of incidents, one earlier on this weekend with Vian Boshoff, the South African driver, who had an incident coming into this corner here, right, in fact, here, coming at 8th into turn number 9. A big wreck there. And over the years, this Tatis chassis has shown us how safe it's keeping the drivers. We brought the Halo in 2022. It's been a godsend, obviously, for the safety, raising it exponentially for our drivers. Again, just the Tatis chassis itself, we're thrilled. We send our best wishes to JT Hoskins, hoping that he maybe get back in the car here before the end of the season. Let's take an opportunity, because so early in this session, we're only going to start putting some laps in here. to have a look at the championship standings right now. Two drivers kind of stepping away early on here over the first half of the season. Thomas Schrag and Jack Jeffers, P1 and P2. Schrag for VRD Racing on a run of 6 straight podium finishes, 4 seconds, 1/3, and a win on the road course. His first USF 2000 victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jack Jeffers has had a great run as well. Started the season off with 3 runner-up finishes. His worst finish was 9th on the oval at IRP. He's looking to bounce back here. He does have a victory as well. He won at Indianapolis. He and Schrag splitting those victories there. So Jeffers' first USF 2000 win coming at the same venue as Thomas Schrag at Indy on the road course. Liam McNeely still sits 3rd place in points for Jay Howard Driver Development on the strength of 5 straight wins to start the season. But he's had visa issues, has not been able to be back since NOLA. No starts through Indianapolis, and IRP will not be here at Road America. So for all intents and purposes, Liam McNeely, although still 3rd in the points, no longer in the championship fight. Teddy Musella sits in 4th. But again, he is almost 50 points back from Jeffers. So it's almost come into a 2-driver battle here. Anybody further back is going to have some perfect weekends. Musella sits in 4th for VRD Racing. Then it's the Pabst duo of G3 Argyros and Caleb Gaffera, 5th and 6th. Evan Cooley, 7th. Anthony Martella coming off a victory on the oval in the Freedom 75 at IRP, 8th. Sebastian Garzone, 9th, and Brad Majman rounding out the top 10. So, Eric, 1 lap in the books. Lucas Facuri and Jack Jeffers, exclusive Autosport drivers. That's how they finished the practice session this morning. They're the quickest out of the gate. We'll see what we have when we come around to get lap number 2, and then we'll see whether or not we're going to see some drivers potentially start to peel in after lap 2 or after lap 3.
Well, this is about the time when they hit the timeline. Having that alternate timeline on the entry to 14 makes sense because in these qualifying sessions, you can dive right after your quick lap, dive to pit lane, and change these Continental tires. But you look at that points battle, how consistent both of them have been at the front of the field.
Yeah, you think about, I talked about the fact that 6 straight podiums for Thomas Schrag. He had a 12th in the opening round at St. Petersburg. It was not a good run for him there.
Piece of debris on the exit of 13 there. Just happened to see that fly up for just a moment. Odd location for that.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not it brings out a yellow. A couple drivers have gone into pit lane already. You see one of the Pabst cars is in there already into pit lane. But yeah, Thomas Schrag had an issue in the opening round, finishing in 12th, 7th in round number 2, then went on that streak. So he still has 7 top 10s out of 8 races so far this year. Jack Jeffers has not been outside the top 10. All 10 races in the top 10, 1 win in a total of 4 podiums as he finished 2nd in all 3 races to start the season. So indeed, Jack Jeffers, who came off 2 years of USF Juniors racing, was a runner-up 2 years ago. Went winless last year, but he is ready again to get at it. Already a first win to start the season here, the first half in USF 2000. Number of drivers into pit lane to get things underway. Lap number 2 puts Teddy Musella on top, the driver out of Florida. And the number 25 for VRD Racing. Evan Cooley goes to 2nd, Caleb Gaffera to 3rd, 4th Jack Jeffers, 5th G3 Argyros, Harley Keeble, Brendan Cooley, Christian Cameron, Joshua Leonel, and Lucas Facuri, the top 10. Drivers into the pits, G3 Argyros and Christian Cameron and Caleb Gaffera. So both Pabst Racing drivers into the pit already. Eric, so that means what? 2 laps at speed plus the warm-up lap, 3 laps on those tires. Those will be heat cycled nicely. Get them in, put them aside. We'll see them race 2 or race 3.
You know, and with the consciousness of knowing also when to push hard with these laps. You want to get your banker lap in. We saw how it impacted the very last minute of the session with the Pro 2000. So we were able to stay pretty clean, you know, throughout much of that session, but it did impact the last minute of that session with the red over in the carousel. So you want to get the banker lap in. That's, I think, why you're seeing that scuff cycle right in that 8-minute mark.
30-minute session. If we go green to checker, it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes of green flag running within a 30-minute window. One of the cool things, I'll just throw this out here during this qualifying session for USF 2000, because I know a number of the drivers here in this field, like many drivers in the USF Pro Championships, have come through the karting ranks. We talk about the fact that Road America is America's national park of speed. It's not just this big 4-mile, 14-turn road course. There's a fantastic karting facility as you go down into turn number 8. The driver's right there, the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex. There was a major event last weekend karting event, the Route 66 Sprint Series. Caleb Gaffera raced in that one. They're here for a while because next weekend is a major national series, The United States Pro Kart Series is coming in for the Wisconsin Grand Prix. Caleb Gaffaro's running in that one as well. He raced Tuesday night as well in the Tuesday night series here at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex. A lot of drivers in karting have come up through the United States Pro Kart Series and the Route 66 Sprint Series. And great to see them here kind of bookending this fantastic IndyCar weekend. But that's where these drivers come from, folks. They're racing at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex, dreaming about running here this weekend in the USF Pro Championships. It's the ladder, guys, all the way from you when you're 6-7 years of age, all the way to when you're hopefully winning the Indianapolis 500.
You know, and this is where the grassroots racing starts, and we've seen kids obviously progress and just stay karting through their entire lives, and just enjoy that. It's a nice hobby.
There are professional go-kart racers as well.
It certainly is a great way to start, and certainly a great way to dial in your skill set and progressively move on to potentially getting up into this USF championship.
It's a fantastic family sport as well. Mom, dad, we've got young, obviously, boy racers, girl racers, a ton of young female racers in karting these days. We'll watch them come up through the ranks. We have 3 female racers in our USF Juniors category, one here this weekend as well. Kaylee Countryman for Exclusive Autosport making her USF2000 debut, having run the first half of the USF Junior season for Exclusive Autosport. There's a big spin. Driver coming off is going to get into the barriers, coming out of the carousel. Driver losing the rear of the car and has gone off the racetrack. I would expect contact with the tire barriers on the outside of that corner, so you're going to see a red flag here, I want to say for certain, as the driver's gone off on the outside there. We'll wait for the red. Looking up at Aaron Likens on the flag stand.
Just waiting.
There it is. So with that red, there's that piece.
Piece of debris still sitting in the middle of the racetrack. F13 as well.
Take the opportunity to grab that for sure. The number 30 of Eddie Beswick is in pit lane here right now as well. He came in. I'm not sure they changed anything on Beswick's machine. He's still sitting in the car. Beswick sitting in the 9th spot. Number of drivers in pit lane already. So Teddy Masella on top right now with a 208.312. Let's give you a reset. We'll give you a full field rundown. 9 minutes to go. Remember, 30-minute window, 20 minutes is a green flag running. So when we get a red, we shut down that time clock, that 20-minute time clock. So there's still 9 minutes remaining. So when we get back at it, you're looking 2.5 minutes around. And then, of course, the remainder of that run, that's 5.5 minutes of running. So very likely we're going to get 3 more laps when we come back at it, provided this incident can get cleaned up quickly. So, again, this is going to be the look. We're going to have a replay of those of you at home to watch this. I picked it up, and to watch further back on the track, you're going to see a driver drop a wheel. Coming out of the corner, look very far back to see what happens. Waiting for the driver to have some issues. There it is there. Just lost the rear end.
Similar to the incident that we had
Very similar.
earlier.
And it may be the same team. Indeed, it was D-Force Racing. It was George Garcia Arce in USF Pro 2000. That was one of the D-Force cars. We'll wait to see when all the drivers have come back to pit lane to find out which car that actually was. You can see them circulating here. We'll get them back to pit lane. So Teddy Masella, P1, Evan Cooley up into 2nd, Caleb Gaffara sits in 3rd, Jack Jefferson 4th. These are all coming on that first run on tires that they'll all now, of course, use for the race. Scuff those tires with a couple laps, put a banker lap in, and then use those tires for a race later on this weekend. Remember, only 2 races for USF 2000. They'll cap it off tomorrow. 2 races for them on Saturday. G3 Argyros in 5th spot, Harley Keeble in 6th, Lucas Fakiri 7th, Brendan Cooley 8th, Eddie Beswick 9th, and Christian Cameron rounding out the top 10. Joshua Leonel in 11th, Ayrton Hauk 12th, 13th is Anthony Martella, 14th Thomas Schrag, 15th Sebastian Garzon, 16th Rodrigo Gonzalez, 17th Thomas Nordqvist, 18th Timmy Corral, 19th Patricio Gonzalez, Vian Bossoff, Kaylee Countryman, and Ryan Janetta round out the 22 drivers who have taken the green here. Still red and waiting for the final drivers to come up. We'll be able to tell you who it was. Thomas Nordqvist, I believe, the driver involved. There's the number 17 there. You see the damage to both the right front and right rear. Just lost the rear. It was kind of a flat slide, Eric. He just kind of rolled it around and boom, side shot.
To me, just looking at the similarities of the USF Pro crash in the previous session, looks like they may have dialed more front wing into those cars and then getting off power. If you get a little bit of understeer, if you're struggling with the understeer, dialing a little bit more front wing in.
Exactly, yeah.
Potentially that's what, with a little bit less rear grip, and then the balance of the car when you pedal out and then try to get back on the throttle, lost maybe a little bit of rear grip.
Well, we said the one we saw from Garcia, we didn't get a chance to see a replay of that because it was near the end of the session, but obviously he's in the carousel. You're at full commitment in terms of your grip, and you got the wheel into where you want it to be. You got the power on. Well, he had a driver in front of him that he didn't want to, like obviously was on the outside of the line, thought he had to check up, so he gets off the throttle a little bit and adds some more steering input into it. So a little bit of both. We'll hopefully get to see some kind of an in-car there for Thomas Nordqvist, but it looks to me like he just did this, not so much the same thing, but just kind of lost the rear. Whether or not he was getting out of the throttle a little bit, adding more turning input in, maybe, again, if there was a little bit of mid-corner understeer and you adding more wheel, that's when you'll get that snap when it comes back around, once you kind of get off the throttle a little bit. So tough one for Nordqvist. He was sitting in the 19th spot. He'll lose his fastest lap. And remember this is unlike Pro 2000, our first qualifying session would set the grid just for race number 1, with only one qualifying session for 2 races for USF 2000. This is an instance where your fastest lap sets the grid for race 1, your second fastest lap provisionally for race number 2 unless you go quicker in the race. So we can't say we've got race number 2 locked in yet, but indeed tough one for Thomas Nordqvist, again making his USF 2000 debut. Eric, one of our USF juniors. A number of drivers from juniors, I'll throw them out here, who have moved their way up here this weekend to kind of test the waters. Harley Keeble being one, Brendan Cooley, Kaylee Countryman, Thomas Nordqvist. The Gonzalez brothers, Rodrigo and Patricio, ran at Indianapolis and at IRP as well. But again, these drivers who have worked their way up here to kind of test the waters, as I said, in this category. Tough one for Thomas. He just wanted a clean weekend. And all it takes, though, minor little miscue, especially in the carousel. Anybody that's raced here knows how weird that feels. Kind of off camber. You're just waiting for the car to slip away from you. It doesn't take much for that 100% grip to go to 101, 102, and then you're in trouble.
And there are points at which that car is at load where you've got plenty of downforce, and then there's a little bit of an undulation there, and if you're not ready to catch it,
yeah,
very true. Real easy to just kind of let the car step out on you if you're not ready for that little bit of undulation that happens, because it's hard to tell when you're looking, at some of the more traditional camera angles you have here. But I highly recommend going out, if you're here at the racetrack, go out on the outside of the carousel and stand at the middle of turn 10 of the bleachers, right above the probably the widest point, right across the way from the end of the campground there. But there is such a big elevation drop from 9 to 10. You carry a lot of physical momentum,
yes,
where gravity does a lot of strange things to the race cars over the years.
So still time to go in the session. 6.5 minutes remaining. So they got that cleaned up very quickly. Again, shout out to the AMR IndyCar safety team. They are the absolute best in the business. Got that incident cleaned right back up. Lots of time still on the clock for us to get at it here. And indeed, we expect to get 3, maybe 4 laps. You got to get back around. It depends on whether or not you're able to get by the timing line before the checker flag comes out. You may get that one more lap, and that's again one of the bonuses sometimes for coming in as the point leader. Thomas Schrag and VRD Racing at the very front of pit lane. We set the pit lane up based on driver points and where they are. So indeed, VRD Racing able to be out front. That means that both Thomas Schrag and Teddy Masella, the drivers, able to pull out early alongside with Ryan Janetta as well. So if anybody's going to be able to get that one extra lap, be able to sneak underneath them before the checker flag comes out and the entry to 14, will be those drivers. So we'll see how they roll things out here right now. Again, 5.5 minutes remaining in the session here. Drivers just starting to lay those laps down, getting fired back up again. Masella, Cooley, Gaffera, Jeffers, Argyros. That's the fast 5 on live timing. Just over 5 minutes remaining. Sitting in 6th spot is Harley Keeble. 7th, Lucas Facuri. 8th, Brendan Cooley. 9th, Eddie Beswick. And 10th, Christian Cameron. From P1 to P10, call it 7/10 of a second. 5 minutes remaining in the session now. Evan Cooley up there to P2. A little over 2/10. Masella's got a lot of gap here right now. But again, like I said, this was really the timing of that incident was kind of right when they'd come back on the racetrack, just getting things started after the pit stop majority of these drivers all made. So there's still lots of time to get these new tires back up to temp. So the team's using a couple sets of Continentals here. Again, they only have 3 sets, 2 races, 3 sets of tires. So essentially you use 2 here. So it means you're going to use at least 1 scuff set for a race and 1 fresh set for the race. So just enough to be able to get the job done. Let's see who has it here. Who's the first driver to make a move? That's what I want to see here. Caleb Gaffera up into the 3rd spot. Jeffers and Argyros 4th and 5th. Now, who's the first driver on this next run, this final run, with 4.5 minutes to go? Who's going to break it? Who got the toe? Who's got the right spot on the racetrack? Who's got the right person in front of them to be able to fully leverage that? I don't know about you. For me, I need to have that rabbit in front of me. If I'm by myself on the racetrack, I can lay down pretty good laps, but if I have that guy that I'm just kind of catching a 10th or 2 at a time, it just pushes me. And a lot of these drivers love that. Give me that one guy to go chase.
I'm not very fast, so I'm usually the rabbit.
I hear you.
I'll get out in front of somebody and usually be the one being chased.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right. And here at Road America, a lot of that, you'll see drivers kind of minding the gap through this more twisty bit section, as a good friend Greg Creamer would call it, from turn 5 through really the exit of turn 8 here. You have no idea, if you're not familiar with Road America, how much momentum that you build coming from the top of the hill at 6, into hurry downs at 7, down the hill to 8, and 8 turns into 12 really quickly.
Yeah.
All the way, and you've got to put together that back half of the lap. It's all about momentum, but it's also about spacing. Because with that timeline being before 14, you're setting up the run after the timeline at 14 to get the run up the hill. Especially if you're in the toe position where you're 2nd or 3rd in that toe, you want to be positioned right off the gearbox on the exit of the corner. You don't necessarily want to be there on the entry to the corner.
Well, listen, if you're 3rd in that group too, and all of a sudden they come up the hill and the one guy pulls to the side and you get that double draft, I'll take that all day long, yeah. So indeed, time winding down, 2.5 minutes to go. No one has yet put that big lap down. Joshua Lionel gets himself for D-Force Racing up into 8th position. Anthony Martella jumps up to 12th. Timmy Carell to 15th. Patricio Gonzalez to 16th spot. Kaylee Countryman grabs a position as well. She'll go to 20th. But now this is when the tires are starting to come into temperature. And I'm just looking at lap times, 2:08. All these drivers coming up the front straightaway right now are going to get 2 more laps because they're going to be able to get back around before the checkered flag flies. All these drivers you're seeing into 1 are going to get 2 more, this one and another one. So we're going to have to wait for another 4 minutes, very likely, before we find out who's going to start in the pole position for race number 1. Jack Jeffers for Exclusive Autosport has gone to the top of the charts. Thomas Schrag in 2nd. The top 2 drivers in the points.
Funny how that typically works out.
Exactly right. Invert where they are with Schrag, your point leader 2nd, and separated by maybe 1600ths of a second. So Jeffers P1, Schrag 2nd. Who else has moved up? Brendan Cooley has gone into 7th. What a run for Brendan. McKenna, Illinois. Not even through his first full year of USF Juniors, making the jump up here to USF2000 to do exactly what he did last year. He debuted in USF Juniors here, his USF2000 debut in Elkhart Lake. 7th right now for Cooley. Christian Cameron 10th. Lionel 11th. Martella went quicker as well. Again, 2 more laps. We'll see who has the pace. Jack Jeffers 2:08.111. Track record here, Lockie Hughes back in 23 at 2:07.896. So we're getting close to the track record. About 0.3 off. Again, you never know with the temperatures, the way the track is. Look at those 3 drivers in tow going through the kink. Man, that takes a little bit of intestinal fortitude. That is a lot going through that corner. We are rolling into 30 seconds. Like I said, there's going to be a couple of drivers that don't get back to the timing line and to get that 1 more lap. All these drivers coming out here are going to get it. You're looking at about 15 seconds remaining here. All these drivers, 1 more. You'll see there right in the middle of the screen. That's where the checker flag is going to come out. Everybody sneaking through because we're in the last single digits. So anybody down in the kettle bottoms now, very likely going to get the checker. This driver here may be the last one through. Indeed. Here comes a couple, and there's that checkered flag there. So these drivers are done coming across the line.
That looked like Schrag, and Schrag's dropped down to 4th now.
I think that might have been Jeffers as well. Yeah, Jeffers, so he went to a 2:08.05, so the track record's going to stand. Jack Jeffers P1, he is done, 2:08.053. That's the run. Evan Cooley goes to second. Teddy Masella third. Schrag goes down to fourth. All these drivers, though, on the flyer. More heat in the tires. One more shot. Do you have the toe? Will Jeffers time a 1:08.053 stand? Who else has been quick? We saw Caleb Gaffera have good speed. Lucas Fakuri topped both yesterday afternoon's practice session, or test session, and the qualifying session. Lucas Fakuri is still running in the number 91. He is back by 8/10. He'll need to put a massive lap in to get himself back to where he wants to go. Jeffers trying to hold on top. He's already into the pits. He, Cooley, Masella, already into pit lane. Schrag still active, I believe, on live timing. He may have got one more lap. Might have been the other VRD car, either Janetta or Masella. We'll see. Jeffers, Cooley, Masella, Schrag, and Gaffera. That's your top five. Argyros 6th, Cooley 7th, Brendan Cooley, Harley Keeble 8th, Lucas Fakuri 9th, Christian Cameron in 10th. All these drivers still coming down through the latter part of this racetrack, through the carousel, through the kink. This is what I love about qualifying. It's just the drivers putting it in. You've got to hit every mark. You're going to carry a little more speed, a little later on the braking. Asking more out of the tire. Here they come. Up at a Billy Mitchell bend. 2:08.053, the top time for Jack Jeffers. Exclusive Autosport currently 1-2. Martella improves up into 6th. Hauk goes up into 7th. Great run for the single car effort for Benchmark Autosport. Ayrton Hauk up into the 7th spot. Jeffers' position still standing. A couple more drivers still to come. Lucas Fakuri goes to 4th. P4 for Fakuri. He finds 6/10 on the last lap. Looking for the final drivers to come through. I think we're probably done now. And if we are, Jack Jeffers will come away with the pole position for race number 1 and race number 2. A 2:08.053, good enough for the pole in race 1. 2:08.112, good enough for the pole in race number 2. Evan Cooley will be second and third. He'll start on the front row for race 1. Masella, Fakuri, and Schrag. Those are your top 5. Here's an interesting one. Schrag's second fastest lap, 15th for race 2. I would expect that he'll go faster in race 1 and can replace that one. But here's your top 10. Jack Jeffers and Evan Cooley, an exclusive Autosport front row lockout for race 1 for USF2000. Teddy Masella and Lucas Fakuri will be 3rd and 4th. Thomas Schrag, 5th. Caleb Gaffera, 6th. 7th and 8th, row 4. Anthony Martella and Ayrton Hauk. Row 5, G3 Argyros. And Brendan Cooley, impressive in his debut. Harley Keeble alongside Christian Cameron on row 6. Timmy Carell and Joshua Leonel, row 7. Eddie Beswick and Rodrigo Gonzalez on row 8. Then we'll have Sebastian Garzon and Patricio Gonzalez, row 9. Thomas Nordqvist and Vian Boshoff rounding out your top 10. Then the Kaylee Countryman and Ryan Janetta. So again, Jeffers right now provisionally on the pole for race number 2 as well. Again, if you go faster in race 1 than your qualifying time in your second fastest qualifying time, you can use that instead. So we are only provisionally set for the grid for race number 2. Eric Miller, there you have it. I'm back here at 11:35. Pretty solid stuff for qualifying for USF 2000. P2 in the points, Jack Jeffers. Throw a bonus point on there as well. He'll start on the pole for race number 1.
It's been an interesting qualifying session, honestly, Rob, for both sessions. Fairly clean in the first one. This one had the red flag in the middle, but some interesting pops of times.
Yeah.
And some interesting folks not very fast.
There's a couple of guys further back. You're right.
Yeah, we've talked about that. You can really start with a lot of these cars. The way that these cars are configured, top 10, top 12.
Yep.
We've seen drivers get on the podium from within the top 12 and even have a chance to win if you play your cards right. If the yellow falls, if there's contact in front of you, obviously it needs a little bit of luck. But when you start outside the top 12 here, it makes it so difficult to maximize your point potential.
Only one more session left to go here for the USF Pro Championships, all part of the Elite Engines Grand Prix of Road America qualifying for USF Pro 2000. We'll have that at 1:35, of course, live on the USF Pro YouTube channel or on the app. If you've downloaded that to your mobile device, anywhere around the racetrack here, you'll be able to watch all the coverage, live timing, access to all of our video features. Driver profiles are on there. My USF Pro Insider podcast available on the app as well. But again, we're back here on YouTube. USF Pro 2000 qualifying 2, the second qualifying run for race 2 and race number 3 for the drivers at the top level of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. That'll wrap our day up. But we are done for this particular show. Thanks for tuning in from a beautiful Road America on behalf of Anderson Promotions and Continental Tire. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.